Hi, first graders. It's Miss Vanderhoff. I'm here for your reading lesson today. I know the last week and this week you've been learning all about how to read nonfiction books. You've been learning about all the different text features in nonfiction books. I know Mr. Vitale taught you about table of contents and reading headings and captions and for the pictures. And I know Ms. Fraser has been teaching you about reading graphs and tables and charts. And yesterday you learned about finding those important words like bold words and italics, all these different tools to tell you words are important. So today our learning target is, by the end of today, I will be able to read and use a glossary and index in a nonfiction book. So a glossary and index are two really important tools that a lot of nonfiction books have. A glossary is kind of like a dictionary. So if you know what a dictionary is, it's a book that tells you what words mean. So if you have a word and you don't know what that word means, you can look it up in a dictionary, and the dictionary will tell you what that word means, and it'll teach you a little bit about what that word is. And a glossary is kind of like a mini little dictionary inside of a nonfiction book that tells you the meaning of tricky words inside of that book. And then an index is also at the back of a nonfiction book, and an index will tell you where to find specific words in a book, and it's a really important tool that can help you do research. So I'm going to show you a couple books that have a glossary and index, and I'll show you how we read with them. So let me pull up a couple books for us today. Okay. Make sure everything's ready. There we go. Okay. So this book is called Dolphins, and Reading A to Z book. I'll put this on our Blackboard page under the level 16 book so that you can read this book if you want, because we're just going to read a little bit of it. So this is a nonfiction book, and what I like to do when I pull out a nonfiction book is sometimes I like to look in the back to see if it has a glossary or index or both. So I'm just going to go all the way to the end of this book and see what we have here. So glossaries and index always go at the end of books, and this one appears to have a glossary. So here's our glossary. And this book doesn't have an index. So sometimes you'll see that it'll have a glossary, sometimes it'll have both. This one just has a glossary. So what we know about a glossary, it's kind of like a dictionary. And dictionaries put words, it organizes the words in order, in alphabetical order. So the first letter of each word, so F, G, M, P, they're all going in alphabetical order. So that's how you can find a word in the glossary very easily. Some big books will have a big, long glossary, and so it can help to know alphabetical order, ABC order, so that you can find the word. Some glossaries will also have this. This is kind of like a third grade thing, but I'll tell you a little bit about it. So these are called the parts of speech. So this ADJ. That stands for adjective. It's how you describe something. So female is an adjective. Grab, the V stands for verb. A verb is something that you do. So grab, it's a thing that you can do. And N stands for noun. A noun is a person, a place, or a thing. So mammals are examples of a noun. So sometimes the glossary will tell you parts of speech, and dictionaries will have those too. And then this part is the definition. So here it says female. It says of, relating to, or being a plant or animal that can make babies, eggs, or seeds. So that's what the word female means. Or grab means to take hold of a quick, strong way. So it tells you what that word means. And this glossary even tells you what page you'll see that word first. So that P stands for what page you'll find it on. So I'm going to read a couple sections of this book about dolphins, and I'm going to use a glossary when I come to a word that I'm not familiar with. So I'm going to start on this page. This is in the very beginning. I'm just going to read a few sections. It says, dolphins are mammals. Dolphins are mammals. Now I'm coming to this word, and I'm noticing a few things. Now, if I'm reading this book, I might not know what a mammal is, and I see that that's a bold word. Do you guys all see how that word is darker than all the words around it? And a lot of times when you read a nonfiction book and you see a word that's bold, that's a clue that that word might be defined in the glossary. So it says dolphins are mammals, and if I don't know what a mammal is, I'm going to go back to the glossary and see if it tells me what that word means. So here, mammals. Says warm-blooded animals with backbones and hair or fur that make milk for their babies and have babies that are born alive. And it's on page 5. That tells me a lot of information. So that tells me that dolphins are warm-blooded animals. It tells me that dolphins have a backbone. They have hair or fur. Oh, wow. Did you ever know that dolphins have hair or fur? They have a little bit of hair body. I thought that they were completely smooth, but now I learned that they have some hair or fur. They make milk for their babies. Did you know that dolphins can make milk for their babies? And they have babies that are born alive. So that means that they're not born, they don't hatch from eggs. They're actually born live, like humans too. So that told me a lot of information about dolphins. Let me go back, and now that I understand what mammals are, I can understand this section better. Dolphins are mammals. Dolphins are mammals. They keep their body warm. They can keep their body warm. Dolphin mothers make milk for babies. They do not lay eggs. Instead, their babies are born live. Dolphins breathe in air through a hole in their head. Most of the time, dolphins breathe a few times a minute. They hold their breath for more than a minute when they need to. Wow. So understanding what a mammal is really helped me understand this section. I'm going to skip ahead to another section and read it. So I'm going to read this part right here that starts with the heading, Dolphin Groups. Dolphins live in groups called pods. There's another curious word, pods. I'm not sure if I know what pods means in this setting. And I see that it's bold. So let me go check my glossary and see if I can find out what pods means. So here I'm in my glossary. I'm looking down in alphabetical order. P comes after M. Here it is. Pods. Groups of dolphins or whales that live together. Oh, so it's a group that lives together. It sounds like whales do it too. So it's kind of like their family. So that tells a little bit more. Now I can read that and understand that page better. Dolphin groups. Dolphins live in groups called pods. They live in pods to find food and keep each other safe. So using the glossary as I'm reading, and sometimes you kind of have to flip back and forth. So when you come to a word you're not sure about, you look at the end and see if it's defined in the glossary. Now I'm going to show you another book. And this book has an index. So this book, Frogs and Toads, this book has a glossary and an index. And I'm going to show you a really great thing that an index can help you with. So let me go to the end of the book where we find our glossary and index. So see how this book has a glossary, just like the dolphins. And it also has an index. So what an index does, it's also in alphabetical order. So it goes in ABC order. And an index tells you what page or pages you can find certain important words in the book. And it can be really helpful for research, because if I wanted to research, let's say I'm writing a book about poisonous tree frogs. I learned about poisonous tree frogs and I want to do some research to find out more so that I can include it in my nonfiction book that I'm writing. So I don't want to learn everything about frogs and toads from this book. I just want to see if this book will teach me about poisonous tree frogs. So I can look in the index and see if it talks about poisonous tree frogs. Let me see. Oh, look at that. Poisonous frogs, page 13. So if I'm looking for only information about poisonous tree frogs, I'm going to go to page 13 and see what that teaches me. And that means I don't have to read the entire book when I'm researching, because when you're doing research, you might pull out a bunch of books. And instead of reading the whole books, if it has an index, that can show you what page you want to look on to find your information. So here's page 13. It says some frogs and toads, like the wood frog I saw, are the same color as their habitat. This is called blending in. It allows them to hide better from predators. Some kinds of frogs are so poisonous that just touching their skin is deadly. These frogs are brightly colored to warn predators to stay away. And look at this caption. It has two captions. So this one's a little do you know. Do you know one golden poison frog contains enough poison to kill 10 people or 20,000 mice? This frog is one of the most poisonous animals on Earth. Oh man, that's going to be a great fact to add to my nonfiction book. And here's another caption. The golden poison frog lives in the South African rainforest. Oh, that's good to know. I could use the information I learned right here to add a whole chapter in my nonfiction book that I'm writing about the golden poison frog. And I didn't have to read this whole book to find that information. I looked at the index and it told me right where I needed to look. All right, we're going to look at one more book together. It has both a glossary and an index. This book is called Sound All Around. So earlier this year in science, we learned about sound. We learned about how it's made by vibrations. But I was really curious about how sound gets into your ear and how you listen to sound. So I wonder if this book will teach me about ears, how ears work, and how we hear sound. So I'm going to go to the end and see if the index talks about ears. So let's see. Here's the index, and I'm looking for specifically ears. Oh, so here's ears, and it says I can find out about ears on page 13. So I'm going to go straight to page 13 and see what I can learn about ears and sound from that page. So here's page 13, ears and sound. Oh, there's a great diagram. It teaches me about how the ear works. Very cool. Ears and sound. The outside of your ear is shaped to collect sound waves. The sound waves move from outside the ear to inside the ear. Tiny bones inside vibrate when they are struck by sound waves. The vibrating bones send messages through nerves to your brain. Your brain then interprets the message as noise, music, talking, or other sounds. The inner parts of the ear are very sensitive. So I'm learning a lot about ears, and I'm seeing this bold word here, sensitive. And if I'm not quite sure what that word means, do you know where I could look? I'm going to go check the glossary and learn what sensitive means, because that's going to help me understand this part better. Let's look for sensitive. It goes in alphabetical order. S is going to be kind of, here it is, sensitive. Easily damaged. Oh, okay. So that sounds like the inside of your ear, the parts inside your ear can be easily damaged. So you got to be really careful. They could get hurt easily. All right, that helps me understand this better. So let me start this page again. The inner parts of the ear are very sensitive. Very loud sounds can hurt your ears. Be careful around loud noises. Cover your ears with your hands or wear coverings on your ears such as earphones or earplugs, or simply move away from the loud sounds. And then let me read these captions, because captions always teach me a little extra. So here's the one about the ear. Humans and other animals use their ears to hear. So there's the ear bones. Did you know you had bones inside your ear? Inside your ear. Nerves that send messages to the brain. Oh, that must be what tells your brain if it's a sound. And then this caption says, protecting your ears from loud noises keeps them working well. Oh, that's good information to know. I always love reading the captions. I always learn so much. All right, so I learned today how to use a glossary to teach me words that I don't know. And I learned how to use an index to help me research, because an index, if I'm looking for one specific thing in a book, the index will tell me right where to find it. So I hope that you guys learn a lot about using these two tools, glossaries and index, or an index or indices is how you say more than one index. I hope that this taught you how to use a glossary and an index to help you read and understand nonfiction books better. And I hope that knowing this helps you when you're writing your nonfiction book. Maybe today you could also add a glossary and index to your nonfiction book. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.